Hello! Have you ever tried editing multiple video files that are coming from different sources and found that the first video will play fine, but then the second one doesn't play properly? Well, that's likely because of the difference in frame rate between the two files. And in this session, we're going to talk about how you can get around that using the speed control effect strip. So let's get started. I am going to go to the Add menu and add my first movie file, and that'll be this one here. Notice I do have the default use movie frame rate option checked, so that once I hit this button to add the movie strip, Blender will automatically change the frame rate of my scene to match up to the frame rate of that video. So let's take a quick look here. I'm using these two example files that both have an audio component, because when you have that, it's very easy to tell if the video is pretty much the correct frame rate or not. So this one being the first one I've loaded into the scene, definitely no problem. You can see here we've got a length of 440 for each. What I'm going to do before I load in the next one, I'm going to prep this a bit. I will click this option, Display Waveform. So now we can see that looks like most of the action is happening right around the middle. So to further prepare, I'm going to select these two and then press G to move and just slide this across so that it's right about here. So we have about 8 seconds worth of content. And as I scrub through, you can see we just have this person playing on the piano. And that's it. So let's jump back to the beginning. And now I will add my second movie file. So again, add movie, and I will pick the second option now. And you'll note that Blender has automatically turned off this option, use movie frame rate, because the frame rate has already been established from the first clip that we added in. So I'll hit add movie strip now, and it's loaded in. So once again, we have two strips, and you can tell right away that there is a difference here. We can see the numbers are off. So 391 as the audio compared to 3000 as the video. Let me use the mouse wheel to pull it back, and you can see that difference visually. Right, so that's a big difference there, and yet it's supposed to be the same. These two are supposed to be matching. So what is the fix? To use the speed control effect strip. So what we'll do right now is click to have just the video strip selected, and go to the Add menu and pick Effect Strip and then Speed Control. So a speed control effect gets added here, attached to our video strip. And if we go over to here, these are the properties for it. And right now it's set to the default speed control of stretch, which is exactly what we want. It is the easiest way to use the speed control effect strip. Basically, it just means that the length of the video strip, that just dictates how fast the video will play. So now what we need to do is make sure that the video strip is the correct length. And to know what is the correct length, we just need to look at the length of the audio strip. I have this selected and I scroll down to time and expand that out. I can see the duration is supposed to be 391 frames. So with that in mind, I just have to click over here, back onto the video strip, and change it to match. 300 and, what was it, 91? Yeah, 391. There we go. So that is done. So let's zoom this in. I'll just press the home key, and let's also enable the display waveform of this audio strip, because these two video files are of the same event. So you can see there that more or less lines up. So I will go ahead and select everything now. I can hold down on the control key and press my mouse button to select. That's a nice feature. Control will select everything that has the same length. Okay, so and now that I have it selected, I will press G to drag and try to put it in line with this other file. Looking pretty good. Okay, and let me go ahead and scrub through this just to see And you can see, there we go, there's playback. So it's playback from a different angle. Now, we have to just adjust how this looks, because obviously right now we can only see the new second strip. So let's go ahead and do some very quick transformations. I will set the scale to like 0.5, 0.5, and then I will position that maybe over here. Actually, let's put it over here on this side, and maybe there, closer to the bottom, and then this original one. Again, let's reduce that scale, maybe 0.6, 0.6. That's too small. 0.75, 0.75, 0.75, and then shift it over. All right, and one last little scrub. Okay, that doesn't look too bad. So let's go ahead and play it, see how it sounds. Oh, yes, and before we play it, just so that we can attach what we hear to what we see, I'm also going to change the pan for each of these. So this is my video that's currently on the left side. So I will go up to here, click the mono option, and then set this to -1. It has to be a mono source for us to be able to adjust pan, and then a value of -1 means it'll play on the left side. Okay, now similarly on this one, I'll hit mono and then set this to +1, and then that will play on the right side. Okay, so now let's go ahead and play this. Play. And there you have it, how you can use the speed control effect strip to get your two videos to play in sync. Okay, so before we go, I wanted to talk about a few other things. So what we saw here was I had loaded in the video file that has the lower frame rate first, followed by a video that has a higher frame rate, and that turned out okay. Let me show you what happens if instead I load the video file with the high frame rate first, followed by the low. So I'll just use some shortcuts this time, keyboard shortcuts, bring that in. And it didn't actually set frame rate, so let me go ahead and do that. I know it's supposed to be 239.33, so I'll say 239.33 with 100, and there we go. You can tell by looking at the numbers, it should be about right. Okay, so that's good, and let me just expand out our frame range there. Okay, so now let's go ahead and load in the other video file. This one here. The problem here is that it looks like it loaded in properly, but if I scrub through, you can see that the video finishes in like 1 second. So obviously not. So what we need to do is stretch it out. And what I said before about the audio being helpful, in this case it's kind of a hindrance because it makes it look like it's actually done. Like this is the total length of the video file, but obviously no, it's more than just 1 or 2 seconds. If I hit display waveform, you can see that Blender knows it hasn't even started the playback. So what you can do is just click on this border here and then just drag it out. You can drag it out because actually Blender did load it in fully, but it sort of tried to chop it off based off of frame rate or something. But as you can see here, it knows what the full length is because as I drag over, it stops at that point. So there you go. This is how long it should be up to this point, which according to the time is 3,510. So let me go over to this one and set the time to 3,510. And there we go. And of course now add the speed control effect strip. Speed control, there we go. And now it will play correctly. So that's that. If you load in the fast frame rate file first, followed by the slow, you'll have to do this additional step of just pulling out the duration of that audio strip. So that was that. And one final thing before we go is that you will run into issues if you try to cut any strips that have the speed control effect applied to them. The better way to do it is to bundle everything up into a meta strip, and then you can cut freely from there, or use scenes. I do have a video talking about that, so you can look at that if you need to. That is it. So hope you did enjoy that. If you did, please do give this a like and subscribe so you can see more content when it comes. Thanks, and bye now.